So let's get to this part 2. So we gonna break it down. So Jada did everything. They said they did everything to get away from each other. Remember, Will was saying at this point, listen, they would never get divorced. And he was saying that, she was saying she'll ride or die. So they thinking we in this for the long haul. So then what happened was the weight of people's opinions, a view or judgment, its opinion, formed about something or someone, not necessarily based on fact or knowledge. Because if you understand, Will and Jada was talking about how the tabloids was blowing things out of proportion, saying that they were divorce lawyers. So they were thinking like, well, maybe if they saying it, maybe we good. Because people's perception, sometimes people say things that they really don't mean, but people take it and run with it. How people like they to be juicy. Oh, what's happening so and so? They ain't going around, but August around the crib and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, they getting a divorce, then they done. People just saying stuff. Genesis 2:24. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. Because watch this. When Will left, it left for her to become entangled. That's why she used that word. Now listen, Will didn't think that he would be able to talk to her again. And he actually called it a miracle that they were actually even talking again. But they both didn't think that they would be back, because think about it. Like I said, he said they would never get divorced, and then they're sitting over here like, I'm done with you. You know what I'm saying? Now, she thinking in her mind, well, he done with me for good. And he thinking in his mind, well, I'm just going to be done with you for some years or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? But understand this, her definition of a union, the action or fact of joining or being joined as an association formed by people with a common interest or purpose. Remember, they was really focused on family. So, and Will said, he told her, I was done with your ASS. So she like, well, I guess I'm done. Now, Jada said, yeah, we were over. It was a lot of pain. She was broken. You gotta understand. She realized that she couldn't find happiness outside herself. John 15:5. I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him bears much fruit, for apart from me, you can do nothing. When you go outside the biblical concept of marriages as designed by God, you will have to deal with unnecessary consequences. But because the Bible, God never told us to read the word. He told us to study it. Study to show thyself approved. But a lot of people, they're not really taught on what to deal with marriage. They just tell them, oh, just get married. You know what I'm saying? So she was devastated. He said that he would never divorce her. She wanted to feel good. It had been so long since she had felt good. Hence why the entanglement started. Women are born with natural nurturing instincts. And so she just got wired, and talk about in psychology, she got wired in survival mode. So it was just like, with her being broken, what can I do? I'm devastated. This man said he was going to never be done with me, and now he done. You know what I'm saying? So Will told her before that he would love her through anything. Jada said she didn't believe him. Now I understand this, right? Job 3:25. For the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come upon me. To me, God will allow us to think what we want. So you gotta understand this, right? If you read the chapter Genesis 22, you know what I'm saying? It was a ram in the bush. And, Abraham was thinking that he had to sacrifice his son. God allowed him to think that the whole way up there. And then when he got up there, he had a ram in the bush. And people don't really talk about that miracle, but God already had it. The lamb already waiting up there. So we got to understand, Jada went into survival mode and made decisions based off it instinctively. So imagine a person that says I'm vegan and they don't eat. And so, they don't eat meat, but they haven't eaten in days. You know what I'm saying? So let's just say they're like, oh, I'm starving. And so a person is like, well, I just got some chicken. Instinctively, the mind will be like, we just got to eat just to survive. You know what I'm saying? We really talk about that as our flesh, you know what I'm saying, to survive. So like she said, it was a joy to help someone. See, it started to help her because she was doing what she was naturally created to do. That's what the word says. Now, started out as friends, and then they became, they got closer, and him needing help. It says when they separated, you know what I'm saying, that's when, like I said, the entanglement happened. Jada, she talked about deep healing happening. She realized some things between her and Will, and she found out the ugly truth about herself. These is her words. This is when August broke all communications. Though, so I mean, because at that point it says he thought Will was done with her. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, he was around the house and they were helping him up. So you talk about the miscommunication of what, misinterpretation of what he thought the communication was. So totally, he's talking, this is what August said. He totally gave himself up to a relationship for years, truly, deeply loved her, devoted himself. He was blessed to have that experience, didn't want to cause any confusion, genuinely loves, the Smiths. He said that he's never been in love before. It butchered him. When he was talking about it, he was shaking and you could see the anxiety. It pushed him into becoming another version of himself and talked about being paralyzed and he don't like drama. So understand this. August did not expect it to go where it went, but she helped him. And so she was actually doing like wifely duties, like, you know what I'm saying, taking care of him and helping him, when it says through thick and thin, through better or for worse. And so he never experienced that. So he like, man, I guess we're going to end up getting married someday. Like, man, I never experienced that. So all of a sudden, right, she just starts to realize this is not where I'm supposed to be. I'm a married woman. And August gets upset because he's like, she told me she was a ride or die chick, like, and that I'm thinking that they are done. And like, so it devastated him. So he just had to cut off communication. But the thing is, he didn't understand that that's somebody else's wife, that what God was saying, listen, even through that, because God allows things to happen. People say, well, God did that. No, God allows things to happen. So what it was, God was showing him that there are women that will love you just for you and don't want anything else. Because at that point, she was helping him with so much. She was helping him heal and finding out stuff to help him and stuff like that. And he has to understand that, he has to find who his wife is and give her an opportunity or her chance and don't allow it to make him bitter, right? Understanding how Will felt, Will opened up his house to him and everything like that. And all of a sudden, there comes this entanglement, but regardless of the fact, y'all still got to pray for him, got to pray for everybody. So, and Will called it a transgression. A transgression is an act that goes against a law, rule, or code of conduct or an offense. Remember, I told you they have different things on how they see marriage, right? And their views, right? Jada felt that it wasn't a transgression. You know what I'm saying? She said she was able to confront a lot of emotional immaturity. Now we're talking about fear. Another meaning, face everything and run. See, you got to face it. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. Romans 8:32, yet in all things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. If you look up the definition of conqueror, it says that you can overcome by mental or moral power. You know what I'm saying? And those things, that's when the Bible talks about taking our thoughts captives. Because sometimes we think certain things and we think it has to be like this or perceive reality, and they don't got to be that. But they came on the air to clear some things up. And they also talked about how it took years for how them to communicate. Willow also said she's seen a lot of change in them both. And Will was talking about the pain that Jada caused him was the pain that he needed in order to survive, in order to learn how to be happy. And she said, it's vice versa. So they both were talking about the greatest motivator and asset is an absolute refusal to accept anything less than the best that they can give to each other. We also said she's the best friend that he has ever had. And he tried to build the happiness that she always wanted in her place with the red talk table. Saying this is, and it was beautiful because, he'd been trying to do that the whole time, but he just didn't know how to do that. Yet he had a picture of what he wanted and he just went about it the wrong way. And so that's the thing why God tells us not to lean to our own understanding, but at Proverbs 3:5-6, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him and he will direct your path. Being able to talk to somebody, because it doesn't matter whether you're a millionaire, you got millions or whatever, because you can talk to some people, they could be millionaires too, but they don't know what they're talking about when it comes to marriage, of how to build that and what she was saying, because she had a different picture. He had his picture and she had her picture. And, he was like, why I never got divorced? And she was like, it's cheaper to keep her. They started laughing. Instinctively, she said that. But then he broke down truth. And this is where it at, because it says love covers a multitude of sins. But you're talking about that genuine love, right? He said, I never met anyone like you. If it wasn't for you, I would be searching in vain for the rest of my life. And see, he spoke truth. And if you see it, her eyes started to water up just a little bit. They can see it because it was realness. And he was saying, listen, I love you. I just didn't know how to love you. And that's where it was at. See, he didn't know how to love her the way that she wanted because her love language was different. And he was looking at it like this, like it was like a, when you perfect the hammer, see, there's multiple tools, but he perfected the hammer, and the hammer can always go like this. And when the dragon come out and everything like that, but there's multiple tools, and there's sometimes you have to use a special tool. And so Will was like, why did this happen? God always has a purpose, right? Pain always birthed purpose. Even in all of that pain that she was going through when she was pregnant and stuff like that. Look at the children that came out. Watch this. It happened 4.5 years ago, 4.5 years ago. The number 4 means creation or miracles. Remember, that was something that he was talking about. It was a miracle that they was even talking. The number 5 means grace. 2 Corinthians 12:9. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, and my power is made perfect in weakness. My power is perfected in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly in my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. So rest upon you, that means stay there. Like you could just, one of my favorite scriptures, Isaiah 26:3. It says, I will keep in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee. And I'm telling you, ain't nothing like having God's peace. Genesis 15:20, still on why it's happening. But as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, in order to bring about as it is in this day to save many people's lives. See, the reason why God allowed this is because God wanted to show people really what marriage is supposed to be like and how it's supposed to be if you do it my way. But if you go outside the constructs of what God designed it was, or if you listen to somebody that don't really know what they're talking about, because you can be religious and not have a relationship. See, there's a difference. You know what I'm saying? And so then you can have necessary things. And so watch this. Romans 8:28. And we know all things, not some, but all things work together for good for those who are called according to his purpose, of those that love him. So watch this. That means that if you love God, no matter what it is, it's all gonna work out to your good. Watch this. God is so big that if he's not going to work it, out to your good, for your good, it's not allowed to happen. I hope you catch that. It don't make sense, but it makes sense. Watch this. Now, so I ask people all the time, is it about you or is it about your purpose? Because if it was about you, when Harriet Tubman got free, she would have stayed free. But if it was about her purpose, she would have went back and freed over 300 slaves. And so this is where they at. They can go back and rescue people and tell them, listen, don't do what we did. This is how you do that. Learn, learn how to talk to one another. You can do that early because they went through all those things so they can help others get through. 2 Corinthians 1:4, he comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort others when they are troubled. We will be able to give them the same comfort God has given us. I hope you catch that. Isaiah 61:1, the Spirit of the Lord God is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to preach the good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim the liberty to the captives, of freedom to the prisoner, and freedom to the prisoners. Because what happens is, because of what happened in our life, or what happened in relationships, or how people treated us, we trap our own self in prisons and we don't even know it. This is why we really can't really enjoy marriages or relationships, because we trap them. Oh, I remember what so-and-so did, and people always thinking somebody cheating. Some people have the insecurities that they, remember I said you can't outrun you, no matter how fast it is. But let's go to it, right? Both of them, they were talking about 25 years and counting. We ride together. We die together. Bad marriage for life. See, he been doing movies so long, it just came normal behavior. It don't got to be a bad marriage for life. It don't got to be like that. Watch this. And, but he also said that he was going to get her back. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, nah, you can get me back. Like, you already did. He was like, yeah, you probably right. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, but it's serious. And she's like, I'll give you that petty stuff. But watch this. And somebody may be like, you know what? It is what it is. But watch this. It don't have to stay like that. You may have depression. It is what it is, but you don't got to stay depressed. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, but you don't got to, you know what I'm saying? You don't got to stay in anxiety. You know what I'm saying? Colossians 3:10, and have put on the new man who is renewed in knowledge according to the image of him who created him. 2 Timothy 3:17, through the word, watch this, we are put together and shaped up for the task God has for us. Proverbs 25:11. I love this one. Message version. The right word at the right time is like a custom made piece of jewelry. Verse 12, GNT. A warning given by an experienced person to someone willing to listen is more valuable than gold rings or an ornament of gold. So the reason why God was sharing this is so that people can understand of using this, so that people can really understand how marriage is supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Mark 16:17, the miraculous signs will accompany those who believe, and they will cast out demons in my name, and they will speak in new languages. See, watch this. See, when Will said it was a miracle, yes, the miracle was still there. And those demons that was plaguing both of them, and they still love each other. They don't have, like they said, we don't want to go through what we went through anymore. They don't have to. So they already learned that lesson. Proverbs 17:17. A friend loves at all time. A brother is born for adversity. So what God is saying is, listen, I'll send new people. You know, when you got to get rid of people and stuff like that, you know, like how he was, you know, saying the situation between him and 50 and everything, because, you know, 50 went about it, you know, saying it didn't go about it the right way. I was thinking, you know, saying, but God will send people that will say, you know what, I got your back, man. And so I'm just coming to you as your brother, like explaining this. Proverbs 18:24. There are friends who destroy each other, but a real friend sticks closer than a brother. I'm trying to tell you. But this is one thing they said. They both said that they're not swingers. Again, we got to give them the benefit of the doubt. But if you are, you got to understand it is detrimental to your marriage. So there was one marriage I was counseling, you know, saying the brother had came to me or whatever, and he was talking about his wife being lazy. And I said, are you sleeping with anybody else? He said, yeah. I said, so what you did, you took that negative energy, you imparted it into your wife, and you came back and your wife became unbalanced. So whose fault is it? He said, I never thought about it like that. See, a lot of people aren't taught. And I said, you got to stop that, man, or you're going to really lose your marriage, man. And so, you know, I told him, I said, this is what you got to do, man. And you notice, remember the grasses, so the grass right now in the relationship was brown. It's unpleasant. So if we go get fertilizer from like Lowe's or Home Depot, watch this. The grass is not going to turn green the next day. But as you continue to water it, it will become green at some point, you know what I'm saying? And that's what you got to do. This is where your marriage is at. Continue to do that. You know, pray and ask God to show you how to do it. If you need to reach out to me, then reach out to me, because I've been doing this for a minute, you know what I'm saying? But the only threesome that really should happen, Ecclesiastes 4:12. Though one may be overpowered by another, two can withstand him, and the threefold cord is not quickly broken. The only threesome that should happen should be between the man, woman, and the Holy Spirit. You got to understand. Because see, when you involve other people outside the marriage, whatever demons or spirits that they got will actually come inside your marriage. And that's detrimental. And you don't want to do that. Again, we're talking about the marriages, how God sees it. It's simple. It's how I say in the beginning of the book. If you don't feel like you can be faithful, then just stay single. If you're going to do whatever you want, that's one thing. But if you're going to get married, then be faithful. It's simple. You're going to learn somebody, be faithful. I had my cousin one time, he came to me and he asked me a question. He was like, yo, cuz, man, we need to talk, man. My girl tripping, man. And I said, you got a daughter, right? He said, yeah. I said, would you let your daughter date you? Somebody that's just like you. Would you let your daughter date you? He said, heck no. My daughter ain't dating nobody like me. I said, then why are you in a relationship? If you feel like that, stay single. It's simple. That's what you're going to do, cuz. Now, watch this. I told him, I said, listen, because if you don't become that dude, that's who your daughter will look for. Whether you in her life or not, because you are the first man that shows her what love really is about. A lot of people don't understand that. That's why I show my daughters what a real man is. Even though I got 5 children with the mother of my children, we're not married. I show my children like I always have a close relationship with the mother of my children. And see, I thought at some point, because I didn't want my son growing up without a father like I did, because my father is in a whole nother, you know, it's in a whole nother city. You know, I lived in the Western Pennsylvania. He lived in Chicago, Illinois, and that's where I was born at. You know, I'm thinking like, all right, because of my pain, I said, my children are never going to experience the pain that I felt. And watch this. My father, it was hard to see him because he didn't have a vehicle and he didn't have his license. And so I said, my children are never going to experience the pain that I experienced. Because watch this. My dad, it was hard to see him. So my brother, I had him by 5 years. His dad lived in the same city. So I would say, can I go? No. Can I go? No. Can I go? No. Can I go? Yes. Can I go? No. What my mom did, which I didn't know, my mom was saying I couldn't go because She told him no, because when my grandparents came on my dad's side, they wouldn't take my brother. So my mom was making it even. Some people were like, oh, he should have took you. No, he shouldn't have took me, because if he would have took me, I would have compared my father to Mr. Lee, and that wouldn't have been right. See, because me and my father, we have a good relationship, and I had to forgive my father, you know what I'm saying? But I understand this thing is deep. I'm telling you, it's one of my videos I talk about. I break it down, the distracting spirit. But this thing is deep. I had to learn to forgive my father, because if I didn't, it was going to affect any of my relationships. And, and so I stayed to try to make it work with this woman. But we was on two different wavelengths, and I told her, she's like, I know I'm a good one. I said, you are. I said, how can two walk unless they agree? And I said, this is what I told her. Sometimes two good people just don't fit together. And we didn't. I'm going left. She going right. I'm going north. She going south. I'm going east. She going west. But I don't take back anything about my kids. You know what I'm saying? I love my kids. And like I said, being a single father and stuff like that. And we have a cordial relationship and everything like that. And so understanding, like, you know what I'm saying, what it's about my purpose. So, and that's why you got to forgive people. So that's why I stayed so long trying to make it work. And at one point I was depressed, and I just said, make a list of things you want me to change. And I changed those things just to see what she was going to say. And she still was unhappy. And I'm like, maybe I'm not the problem. Sometimes two good people just don't fit together. But I have a cordial relationship for the sake of our children, for their sanity. And see, that's what it's about. I understand now. It was about my purpose, understanding, what I'm saying, of how to have a cordial relationship. So that's what it's about. And I'm telling you, understanding that, I'm telling you, when it goes deep, see, my father, not being able to see me, because he was like, I didn't know where I was going to stay. And I'm like, Dad, you could have stayed at a hotel or whatever. But understanding that, what I'm saying, my dad, the person that he was with, he haven't seen me in like 6 years at this point. And she was like, you leaving me? He just coming to see his child. But in her mind, she was looking like, you leaving me. But we were like, that's selfish of her not to want her boyfriend to come see his child. And see, I was married at one point. And at the time I had the 3 kids, the 3 boys, and the 2 lived with their mom. My 2 girls lived with their mom, and she had her 3 kids. And she told me, why don't you give your kids back to their mom so our marriage can work? And she was like, she didn't want to deal with my children. Because see, I came home one day and my son was hyperventilating, my oldest. I've never seen him do that before. I was like, calm down, just breathe. And it was just too much emotion. And I said, and he was just saying how he kept getting blamed. And I know when my child do something, I can tell. We know, but not always. And so I had to understand, like, I said, God, if it's not your will, then bless her. And her job told her, because she left, that you can never come back in this town and work again. But when she got done with God, I said, God, if it's your will, bless it. She went back, and her job offered her $5,000 more than what she had before. And so, I tried to go to counseling and stuff like that. She refused that. Nothing I could do. You know what I'm saying? Either way I was going, she was going the opposite direction. There were some things I ignored, some signs and stuff like that. But I said, I'm never settling for less than what I deserve. Simple as that. You know what I'm saying? Because I've had people that just wanted me and didn't want to deal with the kids. Or I had one person that wanted me and the boys but didn't want to deal with my daughters. And I had to realize that, if the Bible says it's just right for you, it's just right for you and your children. If you're a single mom, and he's a good man, and he don't want to deal with your kids, or listen, he's not for you. And vice versa. If you're a single dad and she don't want to deal with your child, listen, it's one thing I understand about baby mama drama and stuff like that. That's why I use the mother of my child, to pray. But when you understand this thing, and I'm telling you, this thing is so big, because, I actually prayed after me and her was done. I prayed. This is the mother of my children. I prayed that she get pregnant by somebody else, and she got pregnant by somebody else. And so she ended up having, there was one time I had to bring the kids back on, it was like New Year's. And at that time I didn't know my rights as a dad, and she had them or whatever. And so, I come up there and she's like, well, let me know how far you wait. And it was only an hour and 15 minutes. So she kept calling me or texting me and like, let me know when I'm like, why? Like, I'm on my way. So what? And she was like, I don't want y'all to fight. And I'm like, first of all, we ain't about to fight. I don't care. But as long as he don't put his hands on me, we cool. You know what I'm saying? So she's like, where you at? I'm like, 45 minutes away. I'm like, where you at? A half hour away. I'm like, 15 minutes. I'm like, would you chill? So I get up there. And I'm like, look, I ain't going to even go in the house. I'll just drop the stuff off. So I come outside, you know, drop them off. She all like, oh, she like, all this anxiety. I can feel it. I'm like, so I just start praying. She like, oh, I don't want y'all to fight. I'm like, okay, chill. Like, I ain't going in the crib. Listen, I'm drop my kids off, kiss them, love y'all, got, you know what I'm saying? So I'm kissing them. She's like, I don't want y'all to fight. I'm like, would you please stop? She's like, I don't want y'all to fight. I'm like, would you shut up? Like, just shut up. You know what I'm saying? Just stop. She said it one more time, and I heard God say, walk in there. I walked in there. I was like, hey, what's up, man? Happy New Year. I said, I'm happy for y'all. I said, look, bro, I care less about y'all relationship. All I care about is my kids. When I call, I just want to talk to my kids. I text, I just want to talk to my kids. That's it. Because there was a time when I text her and she was like, I don't want he getting upset. Because watch this. He was thinking in his mindset, perceived reality, that I wanted to get back with my baby mama. And we know majority of the time that's what the case is. Nah, bro. I'm the one who brought her up there. I would never took her. I'm the one who took her up there. I already knew about you anyway. So, but anyway, you know what I'm saying? So he was like, oh, you cool? I was like, yeah, look, Happy New Year, whatever. I left, everything was cool. So then, you know, I had this child, you know, AJ, you know what I'm saying? I had him. And so his child lived with, you know, came with me 3 years ago. And I was like, you know, and he called, hey, can I talk to my child? Sure. Can I talk to my child? Sure. Can I talk to my child? Sure. And yeah, he's actually here for the summer too. And he was like, yo, thanks, man. I was like, for what? He was like, you let me talk to my son with no problem. So you got to understand this is a cycle that needs to be broken. See, the next person she was with was acting the same way. So I said, why would I put you through what I've been through? And so I understand the mother of my child watched the children. She was just trying to keep the peace. So we talk about instinctively and stuff like that. So I'm not understand because the Bible says we wrestle not against flesh and blood anyway. You know what I'm saying? So we got to understand when people is being controlled by spirits and demons and stuff like that. This is why it says wines and spirits. Ooh, it's a whole other video, but we'll get deeper in that another day. But check my videos out on YouTube, Will Howe, IV. So understanding this, watch out, watch this. And I told him, I said, look, don't take it as a disrespect that your child calls me dad. That's all he know from calling. He saw his siblings. They all called me dad and stuff like that. I said, but I'm never going to take your place. You will always be his father. And I will make sure he respects you. And he said, I can appreciate that. He said, man, thank you, man. He said, can I call you big bro? I said, sure. I said, we like family. I said, watch this. If your son suffers, it's going to hit my children. They going to suffer. It's going to hit me. I said, we got to stop the cycle, man. I told him, now, that don't mean you're going to have tea and crumpets every Sunday. But understand, we cool, man. And I said, come on, man, you got to do better. You know what I'm saying? So you can come see your son and do what you got to do, man, and pray for her. And that's what some people don't want to do. They don't want to pray for the person that they had a child with. Is it really about you? Because watch this. If you pray for her or you pray for him, your child will get a better version of you. And your child will get a better version of them. And see, a lot of times we in our flesh and we don't want to pray for the other one, which we should. So when I did that, and now, you know, she's the mother of my children, you know, she's married now. And watch this. You know, I was offered to DJ her wedding. And I actually accepted. People was like, oh, you was going to do that? Yeah, why not? Why would I be bitter about it? That's the mother of my children. I have love for her. This woman gave me 5 kids. Watch this. I'm not in love with her, but I care about her well-being. And her husband was okay with it. And I had a talk, and we sat down and talked. Listen, and we talked. Let him know. I created a new normal. That's what this thing is. See, people understand it's about purpose. And when you understand that, you'll stop taking it personal. So I understand it's about purpose. And that's what I understand about doing that. So this video can get out and people can say, that's how you handle it. Because I can sit and have a conversation and we can sit down. Like when I went to go pick up the kids, sat down in the house, talked to her and her husband for like an hour. And then I even gave them tips on advice for their marriage. See, that's what it's about. See, I'm telling y'all, if y'all understand, when you get that. But see, understanding that, you know, when I was married, when she told me to get my kids back, that was a spirit of distraction, distracting spirit. And so, and we see it happens to a lot of men. They don't want to take care of their kids, but they'll take care of somebody else's. Oh yeah, this thing goes deep. But that's what we got to do. And God wanted to use this marriage and this spiritual entanglement to show people how to entangle themselves, how to get entangled. Because some of us are entangled with people now we shouldn't be in a relationship with. But like I said, check out the rest of the videos. Let me know what you think. Comment. And it's here. And you know, Will, Jada, everybody, look, I'm praying for y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm praying for y'all. If y'all need me to come on the red table, explain stuff, oh, I'm here. Just holler at me. But yeah, but this thing is spiritual. God is using this thing to help people. That's one thing you said, Will. You said you wanted to help people. And God is using this to help people to put marriage back the way that he said it was. That's why I wrote a book that teaches men and women what to do inside the marriage, because I was just told, especially in the black community, they just tell you to get married. They don't tell you what to do inside the wedding, in the marriage. Think about it. Like Gammy was saying, you had Will. She didn't know that stuff was existing. She just knew that this man loves her daughter. And she knew that. That's why she's like, oh, why wouldn't you want to get married? And see, but she didn't understand all of that. And that's how a lot of people are. It's okay, man. But yeah, as always, love y'all. God bless.